but our defense is going, our offense is going. So we limited the Bakers to one shot, and that's how we got open shots for shooters inside the paint and everything.
The Indiana Fever stumbled once again without their rookie phenom, Caitlin Clark, dropping their second straight game to the surging New York Liberty as the WNBA season barrels toward its final 51 days, ending on September 11th. The All-Star break, now behind them, players return to the court with a renewed but weary spirit, following contentious debates during the break about the league's collective bargaining agreement, which included calls for more rest and health prioritization. Before the All-Star festivities in Indianapolis, players made a unified statement by wearing warm-up shirts emblazoned with the phrase, "Pay us what you owe us," a quiet but thunderous protest over ongoing pay equity frustrations and labor concerns. Yet despite off-court turbulence, the focus snapped back to basketball, the only thing that truly matters in this stretch run. Tuesday night's rematch between the New York Liberty and Indiana Fever was a testament to what postseason hopefuls are willing to endure and execute in order to get there. The Liberty, defending champions now at full strength with the return of 2024 Finals MVP Jonquil Jones, came into this game with momentum and urgency. Jones had been sidelined since June 19th with an ankle injury, but she made her presence known immediately upon her return, scoring the game's opening basket with a confident three-pointer that signaled both her readiness and the Liberty's intent. Her 18 points and 9 rebounds in just 23 minutes reflected not only her talent but her capacity to lead by example. Even as she admitted post-game, she's still working toward full conditioning. New York had no plans of staying idle before the trade deadline, either, acquiring former Finals MVP Emma Meesman, who hasn't appeared in the WNBA since 2022. With her addition, the Liberty are sending a clear message to the rest of the league. They're not just defending their crown, they're aiming to dominate. Their 13-0 run in the second half broke open a tightly contested game, ultimately powering them to a convincing 98-84 win in front of yet another sellout crowd at Barclays Center. New York continues to thrive at home and build separation in the standings, their winning streak now standing at 4. 6 Liberty players finished in double figures, a portrait of balance and execution that many other franchises in the league simply cannot replicate. Breena Stewart and Leonie Fibbage each added 17 points, complementing Jones' efficient return, but it was Sabrina Ionescu who delivered the knockout blows, draining back-to-back three-pointers within 70 seconds late in the fourth quarter that stretched New York's lead to a game-high 14 points, deflating Indiana's hopes of a comeback. Ionescu's stat line, 13 points, 9 assists, 5 rebounds reflected her steady influence on both ends of the court, the glue that keeps New York's championship machine clicking. Meanwhile, the Fever found themselves once again trying to cope with Clark's absence, both on the stat sheet and in spirit. Without her playmaking, her leadership, and her gravitational pull on defenses, Indiana struggled to maintain consistent rhythm despite a spirited performance from Kelsey Mitchell, who poured in a game-high 29 points. Mitchell has consistently stepped up when the Fever have needed her, but without Clark orchestrating the offense and providing scoring relief, the burden has become increasingly heavy. Aaliyah Boston, still one of the league's most versatile young bigs, fought valiantly in the paint, finishing with 15 points, 12 rebounds, and 6 assists. But her night ended prematurely when she fouled out late in the fourth quarter, taking with her Indiana's last line of resistance in the post. The Fever now sit precariously in the playoff picture, unable to build momentum and still searching for a consistent identity. They've been better than last season, certainly more competitive, but inconsistency and injury have plagued their attempts to truly take off. Without Clark, who remains sidelined with a left quadriceps injury, lacks not just scoring, but also confidence. The timing of her injury couldn't have been worse, as the second half of the season is when playoff positioning solidifies and roster rotations tight in. Head coach Christy Sides now faces the difficult task of recalibrating the team's approach, without their franchise centerpiece, all while trying to keep spirits high and players motivated in a stretch that allows little margin for error. What's striking is how Indiana's offensive sets lack cohesion in Clark's absence. Her ability to stretch the floor, hit deep threes, and find cutting teammates has been the lifeblood of their offensive schemes. Now, the burden has shifted entirely onto Mitchell, Boston, and veteran pieces like Nolissa Smith and Erica Wheeler, who must now play through defenses that are less spread out and more physically engaged. The result is fewer open looks, more forced possessions, and a tempo that constantly feels one step behind elite teams like New York. The Liberty, by contrast, are hitting their stride at just the right time. With the return of Jonquel Jones and the pending arrival of Niesman, they are now deeper, more versatile, and more experienced than perhaps any other team in the league. Their second unit has the capability to not just hold leads but extend them, and their starting five when fully engaged Canberra teams in a matter of minutes. They've weathered injuries, back-to-back scheduling challenges, and the immense pressure that comes with defending a title, and yet they continue to rise. Their synergy is unmistakable, their defensive rotations crisp, and their offensive reads fluid and instinctive, as Stewart, Jones, Ionescu, and the rest of the Liberty continue to sharpen their execution. They appear increasingly capable of going back-to-back. For Indiana, however, the road ahead is uncertain. Their young core is immensely talented, but that talent is being tested in real time, with every possession under a microscope, and every mistake punished by more mature and cohesive squads. The clock is ticking, 51 days left, and every game now feels like a must. Clark's return timeline remains unclear, and until she is back at full strength, the Fever will have to rely on grit, hustle, and maybe a bit of luck to keep their postseason hopes alive. But beyond the box scores and standings, the broader context of this moment in the WNBA can't be ignored. The league is at a crossroads. The All-Star breaks labor unrest, the growing frustration with player pay and travel conditions, and the ongoing battle for equality all hang in the air, like humidity before a storm. The "pay us what you owe us" shirts were not just statements, they were demands. Demands for investment, for respect, for overdue recognition. And the performances on the court, night in and night out, only further prove that these athletes have more than earned everything they're asking for, from Ionescu's daggers to Mitchell's perseverance. From Jones' return to Boston's fight, every player is laying it all on the hardwood. The fans are showing up. The arenas are full. The product is electric. All that remains now is for the league's leadership to catch up to meet the moment with the same intensity and clarity their players already bring. Until then, the Fever will keep grinding, the Liberty will keep chasing another banner, and the WNBA will keep evolving. What we're witnessing isn't just a season, it's a movement in motion.
It was nice.
Your players were just talking about how they felt like the offensive fluidity that they found today came from the defensive end of the stops they got on the end of the floor, and I know you've talked.
The Indiana Fever's struggles deepened in their latest outing as they endured another punishing defeat at the hands of the New York Liberty. This time falling 98-77 in what marked their worst loss of the season, and a sobering reminder of how much they miss Caitlin Clark's presence, both on and off the floor. Sophie Cunningham added 15 points for the now 12-12 Fever, who are clinging to a .500 record that has started to feel increasingly tenuous with every passing game that Clark remains sidelined. The rematch against New York, which had already bested them in Brooklyn just a week prior, underscored the widening gap between championship-caliber depth and a young team grappling with identity, fatigue, and the harsh realities of a relentless WNBA schedule. Beyond the scoreboard, the matchup was tense and chippy, with players and coaches from both sides spending significant portions of the game barking at the officials. The foul disparity: 22 personal fouls for Indiana and 17 for New York, just one component of an otherwise sloppy and at times frustratingly inconsistent game from both sides. The Liberty, who have been ascending since Jonquel Jones' return and bolstered by the looming addition of 2019 Finals MVP Emma Niesman, coughed up the ball 20 times. Yet even that didn't cost them much as the Fever nearly matched their carelessness with 19 turnovers of their own. These kinds of unforced errors have become all too familiar for Indiana, a team whose offensive rhythm depends heavily on precise ball movement and transition, scoring two areas where Clark has historically thrived. Without her, that system becomes brittle, reliant on isolation plays and last-second shot clock bailouts. This version of the Fever, even with stars like Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston playing their hearts out, simply isn't the same. Clark's absence, due to a nagging groin injury that has now kept her out of 11 games, has forced the team into a state of uncertainty that stretches far beyond the hardwood. According to head coach Stephanie White, Clark recently sought another medical opinion, and there is still no timetable for her return. The ambiguity of her status continues to cast a long shadow over the Fever's postseason hopes, and her injury history or lack thereof only adds to the complexity. Clark never missed a single game during her storied college career at Iowa nor her rookie season in the WNBA. And now that she's facing extended time away, the franchise is navigating unfamiliar territory without its cornerstone player. As for what lies ahead, the road only grows more unforgiving for Indiana. Their next matchup pits them against the Las Vegas Aces, other powerhouse loaded with championship experience on Thursday, July 24th. That clash will be the beginning of a grueling stretch in which 5 of their next 7 games are on the road. That schedule would be daunting under any circumstances, but it feels nearly cruel for a team still trying to find its footing without its leader. With each game, the need for leadership, resilience, and mental toughness grows. Players like Mitchell, Boston, and now Cunningham are tasked with not just contributing statistically, but also rallying the locker room and providing a sense of stability amidst a swirl of injuries, speculation, and performance slumps. Boston, who has consistently played with poise and maturity beyond her years, remains the defensive anchor and emotional core of this roster. But with her workload increased, foul trouble and physical fatigue become harder to manage. Against New York, she again put in the work, but her efforts were often neutralized by New York's superior depth and ball movement. Liberty head coach Sandy Brondello was candid after the game, acknowledging both the privilege and the pressure of finally working with a fully healthy roster while also preparing for the addition of Miesman, whose arrival now depends on the completion of her visa application. Miesman, who has not signed a contract yet, didn't play against Indiana, but her impact is expected to be immediate once she does. Brondello described the situation with a blend of optimism and realism, pleased with how her team weathered the storm during Jones' absence and aware of how important the next 23 games will be in shaping their playoff readiness. She emphasized that talent alone isn't enough to win championships and that building chemistry, integrating new pieces, and maintaining health would all be essential factors. Still, with a roster that now boasts multiple finals MVPs and elite shooters, the Liberty are in a prime position to defend their title, and perhaps even exceed the dominance they displayed during their championship run. For the Fever, meanwhile, the narrative is quite different. Their margin for error continues to shrink, and each game without Clark is a test of resolve, patience, and developmental fortitude. Fans are growing restless. The energy that once surrounded the team at the beginning of the season, largely driven by Clark's arrival and the buzz she generated league-wide, has dulled slightly under the weight of consecutive losses and inconsistent performances. But even in disappointment, there are lessons. Cunningham's emergence as a dependable scorer is a bright spot, offering hope that the Fever's depth can develop even in difficult circumstances. Similarly, Boston's continued growth as a passer, rebounder, and communicator is laying the foundation for a future where Indiana doesn't just rely on Clark's brilliance but supplements it with a well-rounded supporting cast. Still, the harsh reality remains: this team needs its superstar. The rhythm of their offense, the confidence in their spacing, the assertiveness in late game scenarios, all of it suffers without Clark. As the season continues to barrel toward its conclusion, and as playoff seeds begin to harden, the Fever must find ways to stay in the hunt long enough for her to return. If she returns at all this season, the coaching staff faces difficult choices regarding rotation minutes, defensive matchups, and late-game strategies. Do they continue to push their young core, risking further injury and burnout? Or do they strategically conserve energy, betting on a late-season surge, with Clark back in the lineup? Every decision is now a high-stakes gamble, and White's leadership will be tested as never before. Meanwhile, the WNBA landscape continues to shift. The league is deeper and more competitive than ever, and teams like New York and Las Vegas set the bar high with their precision, experience, and aggressive roster moves. For a young franchise like Indiana, merely keeping pace feels like an uphill battle. But the players are not without heart. They fight every possession, chase every loose ball, and take every loss personally. That grit, that refusal to fold, is what gives fans hope that brighter days lie ahead of them if this season continues to be defined more by adversity than glory. Off the court, the larger issues raised during the All-Star break continue to echo. The players' message, "Pay us what you owe us," has not been forgotten. It's a reflection of the systemic inequities that still pervade the league. Disparities in pay, travel, recovery time, and overall investment. For players like Clark, who bring unprecedented visibility and revenue to the WNBA, the stakes are even higher. The league's handling of her injury, the media scrutiny around her absence, and the Fever's long-term development are all part of a broader conversation. about how women's sports must evolve to protect and uplift their stars while building sustainable success. As Indiana prepares for their brutal upcoming stretch, the mood within the team is one of cautious determination. They understand what they're up against. The losses sting, the standings are tightening, and the noise around Clark's absence grows louder, but inside the locker room, there is also belief that this experience, however painful in the short term, will harden them for future success. Every setback, every missed opportunity, every blown coverage is a brick in the foundation of a team that's still being built. What matters now is how they respond, how they adjust, how they persevere. In a league that's changing rapidly, with storylines shifting by the day and stars emerging and vanishing like constellations in a